Everybody. We have a special live. And for those of us that are parents, we don't always get kids talking to us about what it's like being a kid. And today we have one of the authors from the Teen Health Revolution talking to us. This is Abdullah, and he also is a host of the Holistic Kids show, which is amazing. But he's going to talk to us about his book that he wrote with his brothers. He's one of 5 kids. And so we're going to jump in and get started and talk. And if anybody's here and they're watching live and they want to ask questions, please feel free, because this is a different way to get information right from teenagers instead of guessing what we want. So you are growing up in one of the most fast-paced, stressful times in history, right? There's a lot of things going on socially, politically, health-wise in the world, right? We've never struggled more with mental health and physical health. From your perspective as a teenager, what do you think is really making it so hard for kids to feel healthy, calm, happy? Like what's making it so hard for teenagers today?
So first of all, teenagers feel like they're not being seen, or it's also been normalized that, especially I know for men, that if you have a problem, then just just be silent about it. That we have nobody to talk to, and so if you have a mental health problem, if you're going through anxiety, depression, chronic disease, then for a lot of teenagers, they don't have anyone to talk to, and so they just like to keep it to themselves, which I think everybody knows that that's just going to cause more and more problems. And
Yeah.
so in society right now, a lot of teenagers aren't kind of given aren't like told and advised on what to do when they have these emotions, especially what they can do when they're going through such situations. And
Yeah.
so just being able to be like honest and real with a teenager about what they're going through and how they can improve their lives is going to be able to cause and help so many teenagers all around the world figure out what the heck is going on to them and how they can finally heal and become better.
And I know in your house, all forms of health, physical, emotional, spiritual health is a priority in your house. And just like in our house, it's just part of what we do. Do you see that with your friends, that we have different levels of friends. We have our super close friends, then we people we're friends with. Do you see in your friendship group that they're talking to their parents?
Honestly, probably not, because I know it depends on the people person, right? But I have some friends that, they were kind of forced to go down a certain route. Like, they were forced to go and do medicine or forced to do some law that they didn't want to do. And because of that, I've heard people saying, I wish I could just run away from home. And they act like, oh, my mom, like, it's fine. I guess, this is just part of life. But at the same time, a lot of them don't feel like they're being heard, and they feel like that they will never actually be heard. And
Yeah.
that's the problem, is that obviously when it comes to teens, you can't expect it to be like 100%. There has to be some parent-child relationship. But at the same time, there has to be a balance, because otherwise the child feels like that they can't go and talk to you anytime they have a problem. Well, then that's just going to create more problems, and eventually they're going to start talking to other people who you may not want them to be talking to.
Yeah.
It's obviously,
Abdullah,
yeah.
awfully wise of you and your words, because it really, relationships come through connection and spending time together. And, we're living busy lives, and that's not always easy, but it's an important message that you just need to spend time with your kids. They're not going to spill their guts to you if they're not spending time, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
What's behind, so this is like incredible. Your mom's a prolific writer. She's working on her 10th book. God bless her. And so you and your brothers wrote the Teen Health Revolution. What was really behind it? Like, what made you want to write this book?
So I think we started a podcast, me and my brothers, who right now are at school, so they sadly can't be joining us. But we started a podcast in 2020, and from there on out, we interviewed over, I think, 200 plus experts, world renowned experts, New York Times bestsellers, Harvard professors. And we were asking them our burning questions like, why are kids now getting sick? Why are the statistics on how, 1 in 3 teen girls are dealing with suicidal thoughts? Why is 3/4 of adolescents now dealing with depression and anxiety? Why are 1 in 3 teens having to go through and dealing with prediabetes? Like, there's a problem happening right now, and I know that in our mom, in like my mom's generation, maybe your generation, like this was like unheard of. This is crazy that this is what's going on right now. And so we interviewed the top experts and we asked them these questions that we had, and the amount of benefit that we were able to absorb from these experts that we were able to implement into our lives and then help benefit our community really motivated us to be like, okay, what if we put this in a book? Because there's over 200 plus episodes of so much knowledgeable information specifically geared towards teens and kids that's simplified that anybody could really benefit from. And
Yeah.
so we decided, you know what? Let's put it into a book. And so we made it practical, simple, and things that any teen, any kid, even any adult or someone over the age of any adult can easily implement into their lives and improve their life and really reach their true potential. Because right now, health, if we don't have good health, then we're never going to be able to achieve the success we want.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of it.
And I'm sure you're probably like my kids, like, your mom and I are very holistic. This is the way we live. And our kids, don't know any different. Like, oh, it's grass fed beef. That's just what they get. Right. Now, like when you were interviewing all of these people, were you like, wow, I mean, my mom's right? Where was this a surprise to you when you were interviewing people? Did it make you feel like, wow, what my mom's doing is important, and I get it more because now you're talking to Harvard professors, you're talking to all these, professionals. Like, how did that impact you in your personal life?
So first of all, I think one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to health and getting teens and kids to eat real food is that once they become adults, then you teach them. This is 100% wrong. I started the meme.
Amen. Amen, Abdullah.
We need to start teaching kids early.
Yeah.
My brothers, some of them were born into this, but I learned that how to read labels at the age of 8. My brother, who's now 14, learned this when he was 6, when he was 5, and my other brother learned this when he was like 2 or 3, even 4. Once they start to understand what the world around them, that's when our mom used to teach us. I remember we used to go down the cereal aisle, and that's where they have all the colorful animals, and they specifically designed the cereal boxes so that kids are gonna be, obviously they're gonna be like, oh, can I have this one? Can I have that one? Like, I remember my favorite was I love cinnamon toast crunch. That was my favorite back in the day. But the thing is that what our mom did with us was she taught us flip over the box, go down just past the nutrition section, and look at those ingredients. And we looked at the ingredients, and I mean, if any of you have ever looked at to the back of a ultra processed food, maybe Skittles or Doritos or anything, then you might find that most of those chemicals or ingredients are chemicals that look like they're created in a science lab. And then as a 6, 7, 8-year-old reading, trying to even pronounce those, our mom used to tell us, if you can't even pronounce it, then it's probably not good for you. And so we used to go through the ingredients, see what we could pronounce, and then as we started getting older, she started to teach us. And this is about like 8, 10 years old in. As a 10-year-old, she used to teach me that when you don't know what ingredient is, like you don't know what high fructose corn syrup is, you don't know what calcium probionate is, go and research it. So she used to then help us research, look into it. And when it came to dyes and artificial flavors and colors, like our red 40, yellow number 5, blue, whatever, I think blue 5 as well. But when it came to those, we realized that, oh yeah, these actually are carcinogens. Well, in her terms, because we were kids, she called it, these are going to lead you to have cancer, and you don't want that, do you?
Yeah. So she really had you understand and research on your own so that, which I think is so important. I know that in this book, and you're interviewing all these people in your podcast, you've learned a lot. And today kids are really kind of almost stuck on being on devices and always, being in front of things. What are some strategies? What are some things that maybe even help you, but what are things that are in your book that you found, discovered through talking to different practitioners that are helpful for kids that are really struggling, even just with an overactivated nervous system? What are things that are you feel like, wow, these are things that anybody can do?
So the simplest thing that any kid, adult, teenager can do, especially teenagers, is to be mindful. Mindfulness is knowing what you're doing when you're doing it. Mindfulness is, knowing what you're putting into your mouth as you're eating it. Right now, we're like we just mindlessly scroll on social media until 2 a.m. I mean, I've been there before. And then you just, after that, you're like, what was I even doing for
What
three,
happened to
4
that
hours?
3 hours,
Exactly. And so as teens, we're just putting whatever we can find into our mouths. We're not actually educating ourselves. If the brand tells us this is what we're supposed to do, this is like, okay, let me just blindly follow the herd mentality that's going on in the society. And us teens, we need to wake up from this, because if we continue to go down this path, we're only going to become sicker and sicker and sicker.
Mhm.
And what's going to happen to the next generation? I mean, we are the future we're the future lawyers, engineers, doctors, businessmen, entrepreneurs, even politicians. What's going to happen if our brains are not working properly? And it all
You know what?
starts by mindfulness.
You know what I love that advice. And one of the things that I think is really interesting, the generation that's one generation ahead of you, Gen Zs, they are very health conscious. They're very mindful. They're very clear about what their stressors are. I was talking to one this morning, and I love that people are more openly talking about mental health. I think that's what's a big shift in the generations between mine, your mom's, and yours. But like when you're talking about teenagers, right? And you just finished school, you know, do people actually do things? Like, do you see people doing breath work, or, oh, I'm going to a yoga class, or class? You're just not seeing it.
No, I mean, in high school, I remember there were times when I could 100% obviously see, teens stressed out with my
Yeah.
peers, classmates stressed out with all the work and, that's happening. And honestly, let's be completely honest here. Even in
Yeah.
class, when I took the mental health class, when I was in like health class, that they teach 10th to 11th grade, they don't teach you how to breathe properly. They don't teach you these
No.
mindful deep breathing. And I'm sitting there taking a deep breath while everybody else is, trying to stuff in as much knowledge as they can before a test, because that's what you're supposed to do, going through all of your notes. But the reality is that most teens are stuck in they're stuck in this mentality that there's no way to relax, really, unless you're
Yeah.
doing something like, if there's a test, you can't be relaxed before a test. And obviously
That's
there's some
what they
yeah.
believe. They're like, forget it. It's outside of our control.
And it's not that, it's because that we're not taught that there's a way. The
Yeah.
problem, the reason why there's so many problems right now, especially with it around with teens, with the next generation, with my generation, is that we are not taught how to live a good life, how to have a better lifestyle. We're not taught about how to manage our stress. We're not taught about how to eat properly. We're taught obviously fruits and vegetables, but we're not taught what these fruits and vegetables do to us. We're not taught what ultra processed foods, how they're destroying our body, how they're leading to chronic disease. Most teens are not aware of the fact.
I don't think most adults are aware of it. I think that's part of the problem. You know what I mean? You and your siblings are. Me and my kids and all my holistic, geeky, crunchy granola friends, their kids are too. They're looking at the back and saying, "What's in here?" When you think about what's going on, and parents are struggling, 50%, 48% of parents are overwhelmed. Um, and I have parents that are listening, and I hope they stay and I hope they listen. What do you think parents need to hear about their teens to help them emotionally and physically that they're missing? Like, what do you think that they like from your perspective as a teenager? What would you want those parents to know?
Educate yourself first, because I would never be in this situation. I would never be able. I would never know this knowledge if my mom didn't educate herself and teach it to us. The problem is with teens, as much as we want freedom from our parents. At the end of the day, you guys are our role models. So if you are putting all these ultra processed foods in your body, if you are not taking care of your health, if you're not managing your stress, if you're not sleeping well, then how do you expect us to do what you say if we see that you're not even doing it? How do you expect us to try and how do you expect us to eat real food, eat good food, take care of our bodies well, manage our stress if we don't see you doing that first? And that's where it comes down to.
I'm going to say amen. I mean, that is the truth. And that's the hard truth that many people don't want to hear. It's like people who yell at their kids to stop yelling.
Exactly. Like, it's just
you know,
nonsense.
yeah. And guess what? It's not easy, right? Like, it's just not easy to be a parent today. It's not easy to be a kid. But I think the thing that's so valuable about the things you're talking about from the perspective as a kid and a teenager is many of the things we're talking about are actually not very hard to do. It's just changing what you're doing and integrating them into your daily life, and finding, I think, being with other supportive people, right? Where did I meet your mom? With holistic practitioners, a group of holistic practitioners, because I was like, man, I can only hang out with holistic people. You're not coming to my house and bring in a ding dong. I mean, that's for sure. There is no Twinkies and ding dongs at our house. And if you try to bring in my house, I throw them in the garbage for real. I say, do you want to put this back in your car, or would you like me to throw this out? But what on the teenage side, what is one thing, a small change a teenager could do that could make them feel less stressed? Because I think that's the hardest thing that kids are facing today is stress. And as you so nicely said, they're talking about it, but nobody's talking about what to do about it. But what's one thing that possibly could help a teenager manage their stress levels?
So the first thing, it's probably one of the easiest things anybody can do it, is just breathing. And I know you might be thinking, like, what the heck, I breathe all the time. But it's the deep breathing that's really going to give your body that reset. Deep breathing, what it does, it literally, there's like, I'm pretty sure studies that have come out that deep breathing then improves mood. It helps your body, reset its nervous system so that it's able to focus better. You're able to, even think better. You're able to even have a better memory. And deep breathing is going to then it's going to make your body take a step back and think, okay, let me manage my own emotions. Let me, think about what's going on in the moment, what's happening around me, what am I smelling? Even like when you deep breathe, like, then you have a clearer state of mind where you're able to then manage your emotions. And I think I quickly mentioned this, but I want to emphasize this. Right now, teenagers, when it comes to our emotions, we kind of suck at managing them. Like, if we feel mad, we're obviously gonna be like, we're gonna express that anger. If we feel like, oh, like, if our parents do something and we get upset, we're obviously going to sometimes I've seen kids and teenagers throw a tantrum. The best way for any teenager to be able to manage their body, hands down, is just to take a deep breath. That's it.
Yeah.
And by doing that,
100%. Yeah. Yeah,
and
absolutely. I'm sorry, go ahead. There was
oh,
a
yeah.
delay there for a second. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, no problem. But what our mom did was she taught us deep breathing. And for any parent listening, she taught us deep breathing when we were calm and relaxed and peaceful, so that when we were in a situation where we were stressed, we had maybe anxiety, depression, or we were dealing with the stress of the world that we live in now, or we were dealing with our emotions, that we could just then take a deep breath and then implement it ourselves. She taught us basically to take a deep breath in when you're not stressed, so that automatically happens when you are stressed. And that's what
Yeah.
parents need to do.
Yeah.
Teach us, because we will never know until you teach us ourselves. And also teach us the why. This is the biggest issue I see with parents and teens. That connection is, I told you to do this. The teenager says, why should I do this? I say, no, do
Mhm.
this because I told you to do this. That's not what our mom did. And I think that's so beneficial, because that's why I hear from my peers, like, my mom, she just doesn't understand. When I asked her this, she's like, just do what I tell you because you don't understand anything. And for us, our mom, she treated us like adults. That's what she used to always tell us. Like, if you guys, well, I'm not gonna wake you up, because that you guys have that you have to have that responsibility, because once you become adults, I'm not gonna be there for you all the time. And when we did ask her a why question, she used to explain it to us. Why can't we have that candy that all our friends are having at the birthday party? Why is this? Why is that? And she used to explain to us, because these foods that you're putting into your body, first of all, she explained it to us like a teen or a kid would want to. Do you want your stomach to be feeling like that way after you have that food? Like, don't you realize that
Yeah.
after you have tons of candy, your stomach feels bad? My third youngest brother, he used to have sinus issues all the time. And we realized that she used to only have sinus issues when you used to have tons and tons of dairy. So she used to be like, do you want those sinus issues? Or do you want to have that dairy?
Make
Yeah,
that choice for yourself. And
exactly.
I think part of the problem why parents don't explain is they might not know it themselves. I mean, as somebody who supports parents, they often don't turn to holistic until there is a crisis, right? And so then they go on the journey, and sometimes they start it for the one child, but I know when I work with people, we ask for everybody in the family, because these are things that help everybody. But I, like you, believe in breath. And the reason why breath works is we take our stress response system or autonomic nervous system and we force it to go into a relaxed parasympathetic state. And the more you do it, the more the body will do it. So much awesomeness in what you're talking about. And I love that you're embracing this, not just from the podcast. I can't believe your podcast is already 5 years old. I think I was one of the first people on your podcast, and I know it's doing so awesome. It's the Holistic Kids podcast show. Please, and your brothers are on there. It's a great show. You do have some great guests, not because I was on it, but because they really are. And I encourage everybody to listen. And the Teen Health Revolution, when you go to theteenhealthrevolution.com, you not only can buy the book, but you get some cool free stuff as well, right? But this is something that you can. It's Christmas time. You can gift this to your teenagers. You can gift this to your nieces and nephews. And, kids are really open to things when they understand the why. I completely agree. I get kids to do stuff all the time that their parents aren't able to. And that's because I always explain things from the nervous system perspective, and it's not always easy to do these things, but honestly, it's gotten pretty easy. Like these healthy foods are available everywhere now. It's not like what it was even 10 years ago. So, and healthy food can taste really good. I think that's one of the greatest fallacies, is that healthy food doesn't taste good. Maybe that's because your mom or dad isn't a great cook. But I know
I
your mom's a great cook, but you have to spice food. You have to make it taste good. Like, and there's so many, I love going to bowl places because you can always get what you want in your bowl, and they're everywhere. So, and guess what? There's Whole Foods everywhere. So, and your local grocery stores are carrying great things. I primarily shop at my local grocery store because it's so much cheaper than Whole Foods. So there's lots of things people can learn. You don't have to be a gourmet chef, but you got to use spices. That's what I'm saying, right? So thank you so much for being here. And for those of you that are listening, I hope this was inspiring, because I know getting your kids to eat foods that calm their nervous system and power their brains is not always easy. And you can start small. I think a missing link that I talk about is you got to regulate first. So regulating through breath in the times when your kid isn't upset and when you're not upset is the path, right? For sure. But
100%.
thank you so much for being a guest. And for those of you that are listening, please get the Teen Health Revolution. I love your mom's work, Medea Saheed, and she's out there changing the world on, getting people to be, more mindful about nutrition. And I love to see that you're carrying on the work on your own.
Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be on this podcast. And honestly, we need this revolution, because what's going to happen to the next, like I said, what's going to happen to the next generation if we continue to go on this path? And change needs to happen now. It can't happen once you're an adult. It can't happen later. It needs to start today. And
Yeah,
it's so simple.
it is.
Anybody can do it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your commitment and your work, and I wish you all much success.
Well, thank you so much. Bye.